venting time. Okay, so I was watching a video yesterday, and I was watching it of this YouTuber that I follow, and she and her husband just got a new house. So happy for them. And some people leave the weirdest comments. Well, she was saying, she was just letting her thoughts flow, and she was saying that she's just wondering what to do with her life now, because now that she quit a job that was toxic, she now wants to go out there and just try to find something else to do, find a purpose. And this dude in the comments is like, you need to have kids now. Like, that seems like the best new, what did he say? That seems like the best new thing or whatever. Like the most sensible move that you can make right now. I'm paraphrasing, by the way, but that was what he meant. So I don't know why I was thinking about that comment, because I'm like, what? And it just made me realize that there's a lot of people out here who wrap up people's ability to have children into the meaning of their life. Now, I know that as mammals, as animals, yes, we have a biological instinct to want to reproduce and have kids. And if we weren't in a highly civilized area with a lot of technology and overpopulation, more of us would probably feel that need to do that. There is nothing better to motivate someone having children than when you don't have a long life, or when you're more susceptible to death, or when you're happier and you don't have extra things to deal with or other ways that you could fulfill yourself. It's true. When you're living out in the wilderness and you don't have to send your kids to school, you all teach them together. Kids are a joy. You enjoy growing up with them. When you live like one of those hunter-gatherers that still live that way, which I respect so much, because everyone else around them in the African area doesn't live like that, and these people still choose to do that, you can have kids then, because you know what? They're not burdensome. You can have kids, and yeah, you gotta worry about creatures eating them, but there's nothing else to worry about. They could just grow up and be normal human beings. I think that's why people who live on farms or go to buy homesteads and stuff are so happy, and they're like, you know what, now we can have kids. But it's not just that. It's the idea that strangers think they can dictate to you when you have children and when you don't. Like, I think if the person wanted to have children, she would. She even stated that she wanted to have kids. So maybe this person has been following her for a while, and he saw that she was settling down, and he was like, you know what, you did mention you wanted to have kids, you know, maybe now is the time to start. I don't think he meant anything malicious by it. So I'm not coming after the person per se, but it is very annoying, because I've had people on my husband's and my side of the family who were just pressuring us to have kids. Now, my dad doesn't do it anymore. And I think what happened after, I mean, he and my mom are not divorced yet, but they're separated. And after I told him, hey, you know, this whole thing, mom fucked me up. Like, she really did. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to have children, because she didn't make that very nice for me. And I just don't feel that anymore. Now he doesn't bother me. Also helps him on giving a lot of money. But he doesn't bother me anymore about that. I've noticed. Like, he'll joke about it once in a while. Like, are you going to give me a grandchild? But ever since that shit happened with him and mom, he doesn't bother me about it anymore. Same thing on my husband's side of the family. He's Italian, Puerto Rican. His dad's Italian, and of course, being Italian, he came from a big family, and he gave him this whole lecture. I was there when he sat on the phone for 2 hours with his son about having children. And me and my husband decided, even before we started dating, because he's an INTJ. They like interviewing people before they get with them. The mature ones anyway, and he's much older than me. So he made it a point, like, look, I don't want kids. They're freaking loud. I'm an introvert. I don't like the noise and having to deal with all of that. I said, me too, you know? Now he's like, he's open to it, and we'll see what happens. I'm like, God damn it, like, really? But I know I don't want kids. I know I don't want kids. And it's my body. I should make that decision for myself. And I don't understand. I know I made a video about this already, but it's on my mind. I don't understand why when people make a decision as to what to do with their body, it's anybody else's business. You're not carrying the child. Last time I checked, people who pressure you to have children, number one, you're not fucking them. Number two, they're not financially providing for you or that child. Number three, those people who leave those comments and expect that of you, walk away, and they only show up again, oh, you had a kid, so wonderful. And they never once offer to help you with the child or take the child. Nobody cares. They don't also vet you to see whether or not you're a good parent. Like, I don't understand why if someone says, I don't want kids, that people's first go-to is, oh, you'll love it, you'll be happy. Have you ever thought about whether or not the kid would be happy that a parent who didn't want them had them? Does anybody use their mind? Like, I get how it was in the old days and stuff, but there are so many people having children, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the reason I don't want to have kids is because of overpopulation. I'm not that noble. people, okay? I do care about the environment, but people are gonna die anyway. Trust me, the earth balances out itself. And what will basically happen if we pollute the environment and crush it to its core? The earth is still gonna be here. We will kill ourselves off. The earth is still gonna be here. We're not saving the earth when we take care of the environment. We're saving ourselves. Because the earth can still be here and will still be here long after we're gone. The sun doesn't blow up, that is. But I do know that the reason why I put overpopulation as a thing there is because it's not like we're hurting for people. We are overpopulated. That is a fact. So me not having a kid is not being selfish. If anything, it's helping the environment by not adding more that is needed. If we had lower populations and something happened, like let's say we went to war with China or something like that, right? Or some other country, and our population was decimated, then yes, I can understand, even then, it's like, come on. There are other people who will still have kids and they will have lots of them. Why do I have to be one of them? But I can more so understand in that situation where everyone's like, we gotta build back the population. But again, it is my body and it is my choice. Just like it's that person's body and it's her choice, who I was watching the video of. I hate when people sit there and commandeer your life. They don't even know you. They're complete strangers. You could take that from your mother and father or your grandparents or your family. But a complete stranger is telling me or other women, oh, you should have kids. It's none of your fucking business. You don't have anything to do with that person. Why are you telling them what to do with their body? It's not like you have kids and they're just like a shelf ornament. You have them and you're stuck with them forever. Even when they grow up, you don't know when your kids are going to move out. You don't know if you're going to get a kid that's handicapped. You have no idea. So for you to be so presumptuous and like, oh, well, you're going to be happy. A lot of people who have had kids because they felt like they needed to have them are unhappy. And they're afraid to admit it, or they admit finally when they do admit it that they were afraid to admit it because people would look at them weird. For Christ's sake, you have people out there, and I don't understand this, that you'll see a mother, right? A father will go out and have fun, or a married couple will go out and have fun and leave the kids at home for someone to babysit them. And they're like, oh, that's so cute. But if a single mother does it, oh, she hoeing. Like, I don't understand. These same people, like, I'm all for men's rights, right? Because I do believe that there are situations where men have it so much worse than women. And I'm not talking about like in the job or whatever, like, but in this day and age right now, at the time I made this video, women, we do have it very good. As much as we want to say we're oppressed, I don't think that's right, because there are actually women in other countries who are actually oppressed. We can go out and party. We can go out. I'm not one of those people, but we can do whatever we want. You can be whatever you want. So we're not oppressed. We can choose what happens with our body. And I love that. But you have some people who the woman has decided that she didn't want to continue the relationship with the father and she had a child with him, which is very harmful. But she goes out there and she's like, you know what? Let me try to get a man in my life. Kid needs a father. And while it's kind of unfair to ask someone, I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but I think, personally, it's kind of unfair to have a kid with someone else and then expect somebody who you don't know to raise your child, but yet they don't get full say in how to raise that child. I don't think that's fair. I don't understand why a lot of women try to do it because they know that they cannot raise their children alone. Is that why most of them are doing it? No, it's because they want to get laid, let's be honest. But why is it any different when the married couple leaves their child at home and the single mother leaves her child at home to go do whatever? I've seen it contrasted, and they think that single mothers are just supposed to stay home and just be there all the time. That's not realistic. How is a single mother going out and leaving her child with a babysitter to go and have some fun and to center herself? I don't mean like fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry. I mean just going out, having some dinner, going whatever it means, going on a girls' night out. I don't know what girls do on their night out, drink, whatever. How is that different than if a married couple between a mother and father do it? The same result is still happening. As long as the single mother isn't bringing strange people back home that can endanger her child, if she's gone and she comes back and she takes care of her child to center herself so she doesn't pop the thing's head off, I don't see how that's different. I've seen people straight up commenting like they own this person. Oh, you're going out there on dates. You're going on a vacation. You shouldn't be leaving your child with a babysitter. You should be taking care of your child. Like when you're a single mother, all of that stops. I'm not a single mother. I'm not a mother, period. Thank goodness. No offense to anybody who is. But I just get so upset with people when they are toting this very obvious double standard that doesn't apply to married people, but somehow applies to single people. Same thing with the dad. If a dad is a single dad, he can't go out and have a good time as long as his kids are safe because he's a single father. Of course, no one says it about the single fathers. They never put them in the equation. It's only the single mothers because they already think they have an idea of what they are. A lot of them are assholes. A lot of them do stupid things and make stupid decisions. Yes. But if your life stops when you have a child, then how are you teaching that child how to stay balanced, how to have fun, how to not be depressed? I don't know. I just think it sets a very bad example example. And there are certain people also who are single parents or who are co-parents or married couples who have kids who have no business having kids, but had them because people convinced them it was the right thing to do. And then they fuck those kids up. My mother, still love her, she's my mom, but she had no business having kids. She had no business having kids. And I learned recently, I mean, I would have figured it out anyway, but she was abused. I knew this a long time ago, by her mother and her father in very inappropriate bad ways. She didn't do that to me, but she abused me in different other ways. She claimed she would never do that to me, and she abused me in other ways. And a dysfunctional INFJ is so freaking scary because INFJs like being in control all the time. But when you take dysfunction and abuse into it, it's like they turn that into a very toxic relationship with full of manipulation. But I found out recently that the reason my mother had me is because she and my dad, my dad kind of, like, no, she wants a baby. We're talking about it. And he figured that if she had me, her mind would come off of being suicidal. She was very suicidal. She tried to kill herself several times. Or once, I can't remember what her brother had said, but she was in a bad place. And my dad, they didn't know about mental health back then, or they either that or they didn't have the money. And she had the baby, and he figured if she had something else to concentrate on, she wouldn't think about that. She wouldn't be fucked up. And for a while it was okay. She was so happy when she had me. And I was her world. I was her little girl, her first. And she moved into the States and she wanted to make a better life for me and my dad, but she had to take me with her. People had told my mom and dad not to get separated because they're married. Like, you're in a whole other country and you don't know when you're coming back. That was a recipe for disaster. But when I was 2, going on 3, she sent me back home because the people she was living with, she felt like I wasn't safe there because they were acting weird. So she sent me back, and I've lived with my dad alone for 8 years, went up to go visit my mom. And when I was visiting my mom in America, I realized that I used to think she was an angel because the last memory I have of her is when I was a baby, and she became this mythical creature. And seeing on TV how people's moms treated them and seeing other people around me whose moms treated them, I always wanted a mom. I didn't grow up with my mom. I always prayed that we'd be a family. And closer to the time when I would have to move up with my father to America, I went to visit her. I usually visit her on the holidays for like 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. And that was the first time I saw the evil in her come out, like the actual person she was. And it's when I did something to disappoint her. I think I left my underwear somewhere or something like that. And I was just too lazy to wash my clothes. And she found it and she slapped me across the face with it. And it wasn't just her disciplining me. It was the way she did it. It was full of like, I can't explain. It was this kind of disappointment that it's like she was sorry having me there because I didn't live up to her expectations. And ironically, she didn't live up to mine either, because I was like, wow, is this what mothers are supposed to make you feel like? Like, I'm all for disciplining your kids, but if you make them feel like they're the scum of the earth, like, I don't think that's right. And I was very, very young. And I went back down and I was like, that was odd. And I started to have misgivings, like, do I really want to be a family with this person? No, I still want us to be a family. At the time, my dad had a girlfriend. You have to figure they hadn't seen each other in person for 8 years. 8 years! That's not a marriage. Meanwhile, my mom was fucking around, by the way. She didn't tell anyone that, but I figured it out. A lot of shit happened. Then she had my twin brothers, and she fucked us all up. And we recently had a conversation where we confronted her about it. Well, she had asked, and she is a narcissist. She's a covert narcissist. I just learned that because she accepts she's wrong in the moment, but then the next day or in the next moment, she turns around on you. No, it was your fault, or you're evil or cruel. And it's like she's completely forgotten the conversation we had about how sorry she was and what she did to us. Now it's not her fault. Now she goes around to the family telling everybody how awful we are. It's more than that, but that's like the cliff notes of it. So if I would say, like, look, if you're gonna tell someone to have kids, think again. There are certain people that are so fucked up that they have no business being around children. If you were to vet these people, you would be like, ugh, can't put those near kids. Just like pedos, you can't put them near kids because of how they are. There's certain people you should vet also that should not be around children. Because what happens is that half of the crazy people that we have in society is because of their parents. I've seen other kids. I know someone who's a friend of mine, raised by military parents. They're Jewish, Italian, and they only had him. Oh, he loved his parents. And his dad disciplined him. His dad was very strict with certain things, and his mother was a mother. And she was strict too with certain things. But Joey could always go to his parents. He could always go to his parents, and when he talked about them, when it was just us, I couldn't even relate to him. Because, I mean, I could relate to him with my dad. My dad's my world. I love my dad to pieces. But his mom, like these other people at the Caribbean restaurant, I was friends with those two guys. They were talking about their mom and how badass their mom is and how they could talk to her about anything. And she was strict with them when she had to be strict with them. But other times she was just a cool badass mom. They looked up to her so much. And I was envious because I didn't have that. I don't know what that's like. And I would just watch TV and watch people with their mothers. And it was beautiful. I didn't even have a grandmother. The only person that would have been like that for me is my great grandmother. And she died. And my grandmother was cold. She's the one who abused my mom. So all of that saying, it's just a little background about my upbringing. I didn't have time to be a bad kid if I was ever going to be a bad kid. I wasn't a bad kid to begin with, but my life was... I feel like my childhood ended when I came to the States and had to live with her. And I lived in fear and anxiety for most of my life, anytime my mother was around. So please, before you talk and tell people they should have children, stop trying to convince them. If it works for you, that's great. Maybe you're equipped to be a parent. But there are some people who probably don't want kids because they just don't want them. And usually if people have kids when they don't want them, it's going to project onto the children. And if somebody just doesn't have kids because they forget or whatever the case is, count that as a lucky break, because you never know what that person's carrying with them that they're going to push onto their children. Not everybody is meant to have offspring. And as I think this is what I told my dad that made him stop asking. I said, Dad, with everything that mom has put me through, I don't want kids. I personally don't want them, but I also don't think I would be a good parent because there's a lot of shit that I don't know what's going to come out in my child because of what she did to me. Like, I know right now I am not in the mental state. I do not have the patience to deal with children of my own. Oh, I'll play with other people's kids. Kids love me, but I can always get away from them. And I have my dogs. We have our dogs and my other animals, and that's fine. Those are my kids. I can contribute to society by doing other things, by utilizing my talents and by helping people financially, whatever. But you don't have to be a parent to contribute to society. Not everyone is meant to be parents. And I don't know why, I just had to go back to that because it really annoyed the shit out of me. It is crossing a line when you're telling somebody else what to do with their body. There are people who have died giving birth to people or who've had complications. My mom, when she had my twin brothers, her hip bone, like now her hip socket sometimes comes out. Like, it's not just something to be taken lightly. It's something that you can easily say to a woman and be like, yeah, just do it. Like, we're freaking breed cows. It doesn't work like that. We're not unintelligible primates anymore. We now have a conscience. We now can speak and articulate in a way that only animals like whales can. Like, we have the autonomy to say, yes, we want this. No, we don't want that. And I think that's also nature's way of balancing itself out because we can afford to not have children. Furthermore, speaking about affording things, children are expensive. I have dogs. Just feeding them raw and the vet bills and all that stuff, that is like, to really take care of your animals, not to mention if you have horses or something, it's really expensive. Times that by 20 for a child. And ask yourself this, if you're gonna say that someone should have kids and you really want them to have kids and you're heavily invested in their life and what they do with their body, ask yourself if you're prepared to financially support them. Because if you're gonna say someone should do something and you're that invested, then you should really start to invest and actually help that dream come true by being there for that person and providing for them. If you don't wanna do that, or you don't wanna have any business providing for them or helping them out or paying their medical bills, shut your fucking mouth.